Well, hello Dragon Ball Super fans, it's Sam Khan here. I am back, as you guys can see by the title of this video. So today we have a lot to talk about, as we have received, I personally would say, a major update for the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie releasing this coming December. An article has just been released and there is a translation courtesy of Herms98 on Twitter. Go ahead and follow this guy. You know him at this point. He's a notorious person, responsible for providing us with all of those beautiful translations for Dragon Ball Super, and he's here again letting us know exactly what's going on right now in Japan, more details on the movie, a little bit of an insight of what the story will be, things that will take place in the movie, and a lot of information that I personally believe is somewhat crucial for you guys to sit down and listen. This video will not be edited. I'll give you guys my raw thoughts and reaction as reading this. It is somewhat important, as I said, so I would highly suggest that you guys watch this video till the very end. A lot of things to talk about here, and it's just small segments of the interview that explain things and answer questions that, as I said, are burning right now and a lot of people are asking. So it is important that you guys sit down and watch this video. So I guess here we go with the first part of this interview, and Herms goes on to state that according to Dragon Room Chief Akio Yoku, the DBS movie will have a multi-layered story with parts set in both the past and the present and multiple settings. So I want to take a brief moment to kind of digest what I just read to you guys. It clearly states that this movie will obviously take place both in the past and in present, and I guess it does make sense to some extent because this movie will explain the origins, so they have to go to the history of the Saiyans. So it is, I guess, important that they go back in time and explain things and show us what this movie's all about, and a little bit of the backstory of the Saiyans, things that we never really got to discover, and it's thanks to this movie that we will at long last be introduced to. So this is the first part. Then they're going to have to state that Toriyama's provided the story and over 20 sheets of designs, including characters, machines, and at least one new planet. I want you guys to highlight that. I think it's very important. Anytime that we get to be introduced to something new into the Dragon Ball universe, I think it is very important. And in this specific occasion, we're receiving an actual new planet, and it's not just going to be one. According to this press release here, it's going to be at least one, so it's probably going to be more new planets. Will those planets have a Saiyan, and is it possible that one of the planets that will be featured in the movie, the new ones, will the Saiyan that comes to Earth and is fighting Goku in the teaser, will he be resigning in one of those universes? A really interesting question. Nonetheless, the big takeaway from this whole, I guess, interview that we've gotten is that there's going to be a new planet. I guess the speculations can now begin. I think it's important to know that there's going to be a new planet, a new addition. Really important. I'm really psyched to see what this planet is all about and how will this whole thing play out in the movie. A lot of new designs, as you guys can see, and machines, a lot of things to be looking forward. Now, let us continue and see exactly what's going on with the rest of the interview. Okay, so Herm says here, working out the story with Toriyama was mainly done via email, with them meeting in person about once every 2 months. It all started around spring 2017 when they provided Toriyama with several proposals for a new movie, which, while mostly rejected, did get him thinking. So this is a little bit of more of an inside, and I guess how this movie was thought out, and we get to understand a little bit how it all begun. Toriyama was inspired by Toei's staff to start this thing. At the beginning he was skeptical, but it did capture his attention. That's what I'm grasping out of this. And then they're going to have to state that things sped up once it was decided to make the story about Saiyans. Toriyama provided an initial story in May of 2017, which he worried was too short. It was expanded but then became too long. Toei is now working on pulling it all together, so it's pretty clear to me that they're now sort of, I guess, try to structure the movie and the length of the film and tell the story and I guess a matter of a couple of hours, and I guess the point to where the movie fits in, the time of an actual film, I would say. So then they go ahead to state that Ioku mentions that telling a complete story in 2 hours is possibly easier for Toriyama than doing the story for a long-running TV show, but this reference to 2 hours seemed like a figure of speech rather than the literal runtime of the final film. So I think I understand exactly what they're trying to say. They're pretty much kind of stating that the film could be 2 hours long, though that is by no means an official confirmation for the length of the movie, you guys, because back when Resurrection of F was about to release, a lot of people were mentioning that the movie would be 2 hours long. However, the film was not 2 hours long. It was about 80 minutes, if I recall right. So I don't think that, it is necessarily, they're specifically mentioning that so that the movie will indeed be 2 hours long. While there is a good chance it will, I think it's more so, as they're saying, a figure of speech. It's sort of a metaphor to state that the movie, to sort of say basically that they would like to tell the story in a movie rather than just taking too long and expanding into an actual arc. So, while that's what we all want to see, though, I guess it works that way better for Toriyama. And then they go ahead to state that one thing Toriyama told them to watch out for when auditioning a new character designer was if they could make a character look cool standing straight facing forward. It's easier to make a character look cool facing to one side, but they often look awkward facing straight ahead. I like the fact that Toriyama is nitpicking exactly who will be working on the movie. It's obvious that he's taking good care of the film, and they are searching for someone that is gifted and talented when it comes to drawing and making someone look badass. I really like that, and it really adds to the hype, I think. So, not much to comment on that. Then they state that whether or not they could draw Goku's face was relevant, since if they had a real artistic skill, they could simply learn that later. First, it was necessary to take care of the fundamentals. I think I don't need to comment too much on that. It's basically an extension of the previous segment. Then they go on ahead to state that Toriyama also thoroughly checked body balance to see if candidates properly understood the body inside the martial arts uniform. In the end, Toriyama personally selected Shintani as the new character designer. So I understand that Toriyama is taking this sort of old school approach with this movie. It is looking a lot like the manga. I think that was the intention. I know that there is a large group of people that are not a big fan and a huge proponent of how this movie looks. It definitely had this more, I'd say, Dragon Ball Z type of look, and it stays more loyal to the manga, as I said. That's the best way to put it. We gotten really married, I'd say, to the how Dragon Ball Super looked. I think that was taking Dragon Ball Z 10 steps further than what it ever was. And it kind of feels it's taking a step backwards with this movie, but we'll see. I think it allows for the fights to be a lot more impressive, and probably at the end of the day, it might be for the benefit of all of us. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It's really too early to judge, and I heavily doubt that what the teaser provided will be the final product, so we're just going to have to wait and see, but I have seen a non-positive reaction when it comes to the new design and how this movie, the early look of the movie, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. This is a really juicy part, one that I personally really liked seeing. They say that Ioku says it's one of their goals to deliver this film to fans all over the world, but it will still take time once the film is completed for it to be localized and debut overseas. So again, talk of a simultaneous worldwide release might be an exaggeration. So I guess perhaps it's a little too much for us to say that we're gonna be getting this movie on the 14th of December. I understand that they're mentioning uh, the localization aspect of the movie and how long it will take for them to purchase a license for the film. So hopefully it won't take them too long. From my understanding and having experienced both of the previous movies, I'd say that time-wise, we will probably get this movie if we don't get it the same day it releases in Japan, which doesn't seem very likely from this comment. I'd say that a potential release date of the movie, a North American release date, would be probably around April to May. It could be the same day releases in Japan, which would be epic and really exciting. I would love to see something like that. But in the case scenario that we don't get it the same day it releases, I think it's very possible to see it early April or May, because as we saw with Resurrection F, it was released April in Japan, and then it came to the United States like August. So I guess it was only a handful of months before the movie was released. So I'm expecting something along the lines of that. I would love it if they were able to work out a deal to where the movie releases globally. I think Dragon Ball is at a point that it more than deserves it, and hopefully we can get something like that going. I hope that we can, and I would so love to see something like that, but who knows? I guess the final say really is up to Toei Animation. We'll have to wait and see. But let's get to the final, section of this interview. Ioku says Toriyama's story includes a lot of fan service, though in context, I think he means more in the crowd-pleasing sense than the sexiness sense. Still, he does say elsewhere that Bulma and the rest of the female cast this time around will be extra cute. Very, very interesting. So this movie will have a lot of fan service-y moments. It's something that I guess we can never really deny. I'm personally really looking forward to see how exactly this translates to the actual movie. Hopefully we see some Vegeta redemption. That's always something that people are seeking. And many, many more. More power, really epic battles. Those are all things that the fans want to see. That's a really vague way to put yourself, but I think I can understand what he's trying to imply. Anyways, you guys, I think that is the whole purpose of this interview. I wanted to break it down step by step, and hopefully I was able, or you guys were able to make sense of this, and it seems really promising, you know. I don't want to hype the movie up too much, but it's impossible to contain myself when I see stuff like this. It would seem that they're taking really good care of the movie. It's in really good hands. They want to make this movie the best film possible. I think story-wise, this is going to probably be the deepest and probably most intense and longest-running movie that Dragon Ball has ever presented. The fact that they'll be presenting, going back in time, going back and forth. Usually Dragon Ball movies are really simple to figure out. I think there will be more depth in this movie and a deeper understanding for the characters, which is something that is always welcomed by the fandom, and I guess only time will tell. But as of right now, that's all we have, and that is our update for the movie. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit it up with a thumbs up. Share the video, share my channel, share my content so that more fans of Super can get to see the channel. And if you are a fan, as always, don't forget to subscribe for more awesome daily content. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Sam Khan signing off here. Ciao. Adios. Goodbye.